born for the luxury. Like, I'm here for all of it.
She's worked with billionaires, and now she's sharing their secrets with us.
And it's like they've hacked a different type of system, and they know a different type of truth.
The Witch of Wall Street, Laura Tynan, is back on Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers.
Oh my God, this is amazing.
To help you manifest your wealthiest witch life ever.
If I said, okay, I'm going to take in a process, jumping through fire, we're going to do this very intensive practice, and that's how you're going to manifest. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to go do that, go through pain, jump through fire. But that must be how I'm going to manifest it.
And it's easier than you think.
How does not everybody know about this? Like, this is crazy.
It's almost like it's too good to be true. On an all-new Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. Welcome to Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers, a podcast dedicated to those seeking a more fulfilled and purposeful life through thought-provoking conversation, spiritual exploration, and authentic connections. The intentional movement has begun, and if you found yourself here, you are a part of it. Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers starts now. Hi, Laura. Welcome back to Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. I am so excited to catch up with you today.
Oh, Courtney, it's so good to be back joining you. Very honored to be here again.
Yes, you are my second repeat guest. And it's like, I feel like I kind of want to call you like my resident wealthy witch, on the show, because I just love everything you're doing. And I think you have such great information and practical information, but I think we should have kind of more of a fun, juicy talk today, kind of about abundance, because we are in an abundance year now. We are in an 8 year. And so let's dive into really wealth, luxury, the finer things that I think a lot of us want, but it's a little bit out of touch sometimes.
Oh, definitely. I know the last time we spoke a lot more on the practical, strategic side around wealth creation. So listeners can definitely go and check out that episode. But I'm super excited to, explore more of the witchy side of this conversation, more into the juicy details, as you said.
Well, and even on the witchy subject, I mean, after talking to you, and I talked to Liz Roberta too about this witchiness, and I've just latched onto it, this idea of being a witch. It's so fun, it's I know we're not in Halloween, but it's so fun, this year-round witchy aspect. I even picked up a book in the bookstore the other day. It's about witches. It's sitting on my nightstand so that I could read it. I want to get the other one you were talking about, but there is an aspect of us that we can conjure up anything and everything in our life. And that witchiness really does exist in us. And so how do we step into our full witch potential?
I love the witchiness. I mean, I love my witches. It's such an interesting term though, right? Because even when you mentioned Halloween, that was the assumption I used to have for the longest time was a witch was the cracked nose, the hat, on her broomstick, off she goes. And I still love to play with that image. I have it on the front of my book, my little witch flying. But the witchiness really is just tuning into your own power. That's, if we look at the history of it, it's why witches were persecuted, because they were women connected to their power. And we can look at that from a money point of view and a luxury point of view of women connected to their manifesting power, right? Our power to create. We are the ultimate creators in this world. We have the energy centers within us to literally create life. So when we put it in contrast to that, creating anything else that we want or we desire in life really should seem easy, simple, because then it's just about tuning into what we already have, our own power, and calling that into our life. So in terms of just framing what a witch is and what we talk about witchiness, it is a woman in her power, connected to the truth that she is a powerful creator, and who has the freedom to speak her truth as well, because our word is our wand, right? And so what we speak is what we're manifesting. We speak things into creation. So a witch is also someone who is, and maybe it's a process to go through, but speaking her truth, speaking out loud what it is she wants to create and claim that, and letting go of the stigma, especially around money, around luxury, around claiming I want all of this abundance. I want this rich life. I want this very luxurious life, and not feeling like you need to justify it, or you need to say, oh no, because it's for charitable reasons, or it's for, because I want to give it all away, which we can do. All my witches are all very giving. It's a natural byproduct of it, but it shouldn't be the reason that we use to justify claiming that we want these things in our life either.
Why do you think we have to justify or we apologize for wanting that luxury and that richness? Because I even had a guest on here when we did a little bit of a human design exploration, and she used me as an example. So she kind of did a little bit of a background, and she said to me, and I've had other, intuitives in my life say this to me, like, I am built like in my makeup for a life of luxury and ease, and all cards on the table. I'm not living that right now. I'm in like a building phase. So it's kind of like, I feel this like discord, and it's really actually hard to bring your mindset to that space when you're like working towards it and you want it or you need it. And like, even like you said, finding your voice and speaking those words into existence can be difficult. And a lot of the times we apologize or we downplay this idea that we want this or we want to welcome the wealth into our life. Why is that there, do you think?
Yeah, there's this like stigma that hangs around wanting to be rich. Like, if I think back to the basic narratives that I grew up around, was like, rich people are greedy, they are crooks, they got their money through some, less than godly means. And so to claim that I want to be really rich, I want this abundance and this wealth, it's almost like a contradictory self-identity, because it's like, no, but I want to be good, and I want to be pure, and I want to be likable, right? All these like good girl labels that we have. And that doesn't necessarily marry up with wanting to be rich, which has a connotation from the olden times, I guess, or olden times, I'm talking about my parents' time, of like being greedy or not being a good person or wanting too much. So it's almost like we have to justify our desires so that we can keep the label of being, no, but I'm still nice, I'm still likable, it's still safe to be around me because I'm not a bad person. Because see, I want to give it all away and do good in the world. So it's this like weird mental game that we go through, and it's not even conscious. It's just, but I've seen myself do it. Like at one point I was giving away more than I was keeping because I was like struggling to even pay my bills because I was giving away so much. I had played beyond into that narrative, which was not a healthy space to be. So,
well, yeah, even thinking about my own past, it's like, working in Hollywood and being single for a long time, I was in that space too, where, it was just a matter of like giving it, like you said, spending to look a certain way, giving it away to be good, to be generous, to be nice, which is definitely, I think, a part of my makeup too. Like, you want to give. And I don't know if that plays into it. And then you come back and you're like, why did I do that? And this takes us actually back to our first episode. It's like, why didn't I set myself up first? Why didn't I do this myself? It's like, you do enough, you buy the house by yourself, you do all these things, yet then you give it all away because you feel, I don't know if it's a deserve level or just like a conditioning level, that it's like we can't accept and hold on to it.
Yeah, and that's the energy side, that's the mindset side that is such a massive part of the wealth creation building, right? Because it is like so much money, especially in my 20s, flowed through my hands. And it was almost like not putting on your own oxygen mask, like wanting to help. Like I had such a strong desire of like the minute I got money to want to give it back to the people, to take care of my parents, give it to my sisters, give them experiences, because it felt so just inherently weird for me to just have it sitting in my bank account and knowing there was people around me who I could give that to. And it took a while to kind of like rebalance that financial thermostat to be like, it's okay to have excess in your bank account. It's okay to have excess in your savings, to have investments, right? Even if those people around you don't. Like it, and so it was like a whole reconditioning had to happen, especially like it was in my situation. I didn't grow up with a family who talked about money or savings or investments. So to be doing those things and not giving it to people around you was like very strange, very contradictory. And it took a minute to kind of normalize that. And it's a journey. It was a journey for me to put on my oxygen mask first and be like, as much as I want to help those around me, unless I'm really thriving, like I can't help anybody else. So I have to not be that last on the list kind of woman of like, I'm going to help everyone and I'll be last. Cause that's like a very subservient almost kind of energy, which is pretty gross to be in. So yeah, it took a minute to kind of have that lesson and change things.
Well, it's almost like a martyr energy. It's like, oh, I'm going to
Yes.
give everyone else, and then you're going to sit in your space and like, but woe is me, or I don't have it now. I mean, even when you're talking, all I can think about is like my husband. Like the minute we know we have something coming in, I'm already like, okay, we can do this, this, this. He's like, you're spending it before it's even in the bank account. Like, like it's such I'm what, 41? I'm almost 42. How long have I been doing this? I've been doing this my entire life. And even thinking about it, I came from a family that was, upper middle class that had, we did all our 2 vacations a year. I went to a private college. Like I got a car on my 16th birthday. Like I was very lucky. I was very taken care of. My parents, really financially took care of me in a great spot. They helped me, and buying my first house and all these different things. So I'm very fortunate and lucky in it. But like, then I think about it and I go, where did this conditioning begin? And I have this thought, and my parents probably don't, I've never even said this to them. They probably don't even realize they said it to me, but something at some point in my childhood, I heard them say, or I heard someone in my life say that like, money is not meant to just sit in the bank. You should spend it and have fun with it. And I'm like, why is this on repeat in my head? It was probably said in just such like an offhanded comment because they wanted to go on a vacation and have fun or whatever it was, and didn't probably mean to like frame my whole money mindset around it. But that has stuck with me my entire life. And I've just started to look into that like, wow, I think this is my money mindset. Like I cannot hold on to it. And there's an energy, I think, behind that.
100%. And it's why, big focus of what we do in the witches is like setting up the strategic structures because it's almost like the boundaries for your money. And it helps to kind of counteract some of the mindset conditioning or youth conditioning that we have as we're working through our mindset and reprogramming beliefs and doing all that energy work. It's almost like we put these breaks in place of like, all right, we're going to have little cauldrons for your money to go to. And we just know that's where it's going to go. And it has to be in that cauldron. Okay. So as we're reprogramming things, we just know that there's like a break, there's a safety boundary on our money as we're going through the process. Because yeah, so many of us were brought up with, and it's such a passing comment. Like it's such a passing comment. And, my partner was saying that his first person that he ever met who had money, his advice to him was, well, you're going to die one day, so you can't take it with you. So why would you keep it? So, but look, here's the thing. We're all going to mess our kids up by saying some kind of flippant passing comment, and it's necessary. And I believe, right, we all choose our parents for a reason. There's lessons we're meant to learn. And it's okay because we can reprogram these things. We can learn and we can grow and we can evolve from them. But being aware of just the stories that we tell ourselves around money, it's so important. One of the ones that always came up for me was when you have money, everyone's just want to take it from you. And so there was this like secrecy around what you had, or just this fear of the minute you get it, people are going to start coming for you and like taking it. And it was something that came up so strong. And then I was giving it all away. And I was like, oh God, I'm living into this fear that I had. So yeah, the programming from being young, like it's up until what, age 7 or 8 that our beliefs are formed. And then we're kind of on the forever path of getting rid of them and going back to a neutral state again. But yeah, the awareness is key.
Well, I love how you said you're like living into your fears because, and then even bringing it back to that whole cauldron aspect, because even living into that fear. So like when I went to buy my first house, it was like, it was an intention. I had been looking, this was a years long process and I was making good money. Like I should have definitely had the savings sitting there, but I had to like go out and like do all this freelance work to bring extra money. What I did at that time was I built my cauldron by opening up a savings account in a separate bank, where every extra dime I went into that. I literally took the debit card or the card to access it, cut it up and threw it away so that like I couldn't access it. That I would actually have to think 2-3 times if I wanted to take that money out, because I'd have to go online. I'd have to transfer it. I couldn't be at the mall and be like, oh, I want these new pairs of shoes. Oh yeah, I have a couple, whatever, 1,000 set here I can use. I couldn't just readily access it. I had to build that cauldron that I couldn't even, it was like an ironclad cauldron with a lid and 5 chains and like fire burning around it so that I couldn't access it, just to get to the point to save the money for the down payment for my house, which to me is like very extreme. Yet I go back all the way to there. And that was what, 15 years ago, 20, at least 15 years ago. Yet I'm still not doing that now. Like, I feel like I have to recreate that again. So how do we like really step into rewriting our mindset, building that cauldron, and then like not living into the fear that you're going to have to keep doing it over and over and over again? Like, how do we actually really rework our mind?
I mean, just on the kind of more like strategic side of that as well, like that's why automation is just your best friend, because when I go with my witches through like a money date, we do that monthly, and you can sit down and you can guarantee and promise yourself, I'm going to go through all my accounts, I'm going to go to my investments, I'm going to put this amount aside, I'm going to put this amount for my income into my savings, and all these things, which, if we're doing it one-on-one and we're in a group together, you're going to do it. But if you're left to your own devices, something's going to come up. There's like something better to do maybe than sit down and look at your finances right now for most people. And so investments can get pushed out. I'll do it next week. And then all of a sudden you're like 2 months in, you still haven't done the damn thing. And so automation can be your best friend of just like set it and forget it. Okay, if I'm getting this money in, we're just going to make sure that this is automatically saved or this is automatically invested, or I'm going to make some commitment to myself. And maybe it's tied to, once I do this, then I get to create a little pleasure moment for myself. Like I'm going to, bake something or have that glass of champagne or go for a walk or whatever it is, something kind of tied to pleasure of like when I sit down and actually do my money date, I'm going to reward myself at the end of it. So something to just entice you as well to actually go and do it. If you're not in a community, if you're not in a group where it's normal and your girlfriends are chatting about it, right? If you're kind of the lone witch out there doing something new on her own and she's like, all right, I need to set this as a new habit. But on the mindset side, like, I can't remember what your question was about the mindset piece now, but it is a process to go through rewiring it. Yeah.
Well, it's more about like, how do we rewire it and like not fall back into old patterns? Because we do that so often. It's so easy, especially the longer you've gone with a certain mindset, just to find yourself falling back. We might be able to rewire or rethink something for like a set period of time. But old habits die hard. It's not easy to always stick in those new patterns. And yes, you can see the reward sometimes. I think a lot of times it's like, I just started, 75 hard and I'm doing like a new workout routine and I'm already feeling better. So it's like motivating me to keep going. But, at some point you miss that day or you miss that workout. And then it's kind of like, oh, do I really want to? And then all of a sudden you find yourself back in, your old habits versus sticking in that, those rewarding good habits. So how do we stick with whatever mindset we're trying to rewire and create so that we don't fall back?
I mean, that is the ultimate question, especially as we're like starting the year, everyone's setting like new intentions, resolutions. People are like, holy crap, how do I make sure December rolls around and I'm not like, damn it, what happened that January motivation that I had?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, some practical things that I know have worked for me is like the repetition, the constant reminder in my environment. So, for example, if that's, one of the things I love to do actually is my vision video. It's something that's like a minute long and I'll watch it multiple times a day, but at least first thing in the morning, last thing at night. It's super easy to do. And it's a video of the life I want to create over the next year. And it's mixed in with images of past successes. So the biggest thing when it comes to manifesting is not to put your vision out there. where you're here and your vision's all the way out there and then there's this massive gap. It's to try and close that gap as much so that you can start living into the future reality now as if it's already happened. So the way I do that is when I'm creating my video, if it's like a luxury holidays I want to go on, or if it's a certain fitness goal or financial goal, I'll put in images with it of things I've already manifested from my past. So it's like merging my past and my future reality. So my subconscious isn't like, oh, this is all new. This is so foreign. It makes it feel really familiar. Where now, like when I watch my vision video, I'm like, oh, like this is already done. Like this is just such a natural progression that's going to happen. It's normalizing those manifestations, which work really well, I think, so that we don't have this mindset of I'll get there when, and we distance ourselves from what we desire. So it's about bringing the desire as close as you can to you. So then you are that person because you see the vision every day of you working out, or you on the stage, or you winning that award or whatever it is. And it's so normal. It becomes such a part of who you are every single day. You can't not do it. So that's something I love to do. It's one of my favorite manifestation tools or creation tools. Something else is just like reminders in your environment. Like if there's something that you want to go and achieve or create, like have reminders around you. And that can be you're on your screensavers, on your phone, on your computer, like creating, like if it's the images like behind you, like you want to change that up and put something of what you want to manifest. If it's reminders on your phone, if it's part of your journaling practice every day, but it's the reminding yourself what you want. A goal card. Bob Proctor was one of my mentors. It was something he like ingrained in us, was like carry around your goal on a piece of card, like, and put it in your pocket, take it everywhere with you. And it's this thing of like, so that when you put your hand in your pocket, oh yeah, I'm remembering my goal, and you're creating new neural pathways in your brain. You're creating this new connection of like, oh yeah, this is where I'm going. Because what can happen so often is we set our goal, we do the whole process at the start of the year, and then we get on with our life and someone goes, well, what are your goals for the year? And you're like, oh, wait, let me pull out my phone and go back and see what I wrote down, because I don't remember, right? Because we forget, we get busy. And so ways to constantly remind yourself of, this is who I'm becoming. This is why I'm turning up. This is why I'm not going to miss a day. So they would be like two helpful kind of tips. There's so much more we can delve into this. I have a whole process that I can go through with you, but they're just like two very practical things that people can do like today. Open up your Canva, make your movie, get on with your day.
But that's so cool. I love the movie aspect because we are such visual people. And what is the first thing most of us do in the morning is, I know it's not good. I know we're not supposed to. I know we're not supposed to open our brain into our phone and our email and all these outside opinions coming out. But what if we open up our phone to that video every single morning? That's just ingraining it. And that's just, I feel like that's almost like taking this vision boarding or the scripting to another level that's always talked about. Because, we do the vision boards in my family. I talk about journaling so much on the show. I've even talked about it as being like my superpower. That's how I manifest. But it's so easy just to get busy in your day and not hold yourself accountable to it. So that video, I think, is brilliant. I've actually never heard of the vision video. And I think it is such a great tool because it is so natural to grab your phone and just be able to watch it 30 seconds, a minute, that is putting yourself in that situation. And I mean, I love it. And even like you're saying, putting a piece of paper in your pocket or something. When you were saying that, I was thinking about this crystal I used to have, that it was actually made to hold your thumb in it. Like you could feel it. And if you have something like that you set the intention in and you hold it with you, every time you touch it or put it in your pocket, it's going to make you think about whatever intention you set with it. So, I mean, those are such big tools. I think they're so simple, but can really change the way you think about it all.
100%. And I think that's one of the things that we struggle with, is that we think it should be a struggle, but it's actually, it comes back to it's easy. Like it's the simple things that make the difference. And I've heard so many kind of older, wiser teachers in their 70s, 80s who reflect back on their journeys. And they always say, it's easy, but how many people are willing to do it? And so it's not like the easiness is do your gratitude journal every day. You know it's going to make a massive difference. Look at your vision video every morning, every night. Your subconscious mind is your manifester in your life. And it doesn't speak words, it speaks through images, right? So we speak to it through our images, through our vision video. We know music, the emotional side of it, that's our manifesting mind, that's our subconscious mind. So add music to your video, make it feel like you're engaged with it, right? So we know these things, and it's like, really just do your gratitude journal, write out what you want, keep your goal card, watch your vision video. That's not hard enough. But if I said, okay, I'm going to take in a process, jumping through fire, we're going to do this very intensive practice, and that's how you're going to manifest. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to go do that, go through pain, jump through fire, because that must be how I'm going to manifest it. It's like, no, it's the simple processes, but it's simple in understanding, but the challenge is in the consistency. And that's where the majority of people are like, oh, that's too easy. Give me the hard thing. But it's not easy in the sense because most people won't do it consistently. They might do it once, but it's a consistency where we're reprogramming our mind. Like you're reprogramming. You can't just watch something once and expect it to be done. You can't say your affirmation once and be like, hey, where's my money? You're literally rewiring it. You're creating new neural pathways, and you got to keep focusing on what you want so that the old ones die off. You're literally your brain is malleable. It's flexible. We're re-shifting it. There's going to be a bit of discomfort. There's going to be creating a new habit. There's going to be a moment where it's like, oh, I want to give up because this is like triggering my nervous system so much. Everything right now is like, leave, run away. It's like starting a new fitness routine. It's like, it's uncomfortable at the start. It's sore. You're walking in, you're like, oh my God, I don't belong in this gym, or whatever it is. But you stick with it, you move through that discomfort, and, saying less into whatever you want to manifest. It's moving through that discomfort at the start of creating that new habit, and then just consistently applying those simple practices, and they work.
Why do you think we want to make it hard? Why do you think we're more willing to jump through all these, like the fire, and do all these things and think that's going to work versus like do the hard, which is the easy, the hard that is the consistent? I know even for me, it's like, I know what I need to do to get in better health. Those are two of my words for the new year, health and wealth. I mean, these are like two things, and I know the simple steps that I need to take, but it's like such a challenge. Like I have to gamify it is what I'm doing essentially, making a game or a challenge out of it sometimes to make it harder, to create that challenge so I stick to it versus just like the easy consistency. Oh, write your gratitude today, or, look at this thing. Like it is really simple steps, but the simple steps are harder than the hard things that we think we need to do.
I know, it's a really fascinating way that our mind works. I don't know if it's like some conditioning thing, but the one thing that I can recall back to is like, oh, if it was that easy, everyone would be doing it.
Yes.
So it's this belief of like, it couldn't be that easy because life has been hard and I wouldn't choose it to be hard, but it must be hard to get to where I want to get to, because if it was easy, I would have chosen that path. And so if it was that easy, wouldn't everyone be doing it? Wouldn't everyone just have money? And I get this pushback even with investing when I talk about it. They go, oh, if it was that easy to build wealth, wouldn't everyone be doing it? And it's like, well, it's because, I think, there's a lack of education around it. Like when I really began to understand how to invest, how you actually build wealth, how you can become a millionaire easily. And I don't say that like become a millionaire overnight, become a millionaire easy. It's going to take time. It was kind of like, wait, how does not everybody know about this? Like, this is crazy. And it's the same with fitness. Like I'm starting a new fitness routine. My partner's big into fitness. He was, this is his world. I bring the wealth. He brings the health side of it. And when he was talking to me about these things, I was like, wait, this is it? This is so easy. Why have I struggled with so many different fitness programs and different types of diets and trying the Peloton and then not really doing anything for me and like all these different things? And I always just felt it was so complicated and I was never going to hack it. And then he just has shown me and I'm like, oh. And in like just a few weeks, I've already seen like massive improvement. And I'm like, well, this is so easy. So I think a part of it is just the belief that if it was so easy, everyone would be doing it. So we almost set it up to be hard in our minds. And then there's also a part which is just very obvious around education. Like if you don't know, like we don't know what we don't know. So if you don't know better, how can you do better? Or how can you do something different to the masses? Like we're not, like no one's teaching you, oh, this is how you just stay in shape and stay fit and healthy really easy. And this is how you stay financially fit and healthy really easy. Like there's no class teaching that in a very simple way. So it's almost like we expect it to be hard. And if someone tells us, no, this is all you need to do, like I can guarantee people will do like FX trading and do all the crazy crypto, types of trading and gambling before they will open up an investment account and just consistently invest in an index fund because they're like, no, that seems too easy. That's not going to work. And I'm like, well, what you're doing is expecting it to be hard, and you're taking the risky, hard route that definitely doesn't work. So, yeah.
It is mind-boggling because even when you're saying this, it reminded me of something I was thinking about when I was getting ready to talk to you today was even this, I remember someone saying, and I don't know who it was in my life, that like, in our minds, we think we have to work harder to get more, to manifest more, to create more, to bring in more money. If I just work that extra hour, I will make more money or I will get ahead. I mean, even before we jumped on here, we were talking about, do we do more or do we allow more, with the spiritual versus the strategy? There's all these different ways you can go. And it is a combination of both. But like, if it was that hard work produced wealth and results in that way, then so many more, like you said, so many more people would be wealthy because there are so many hardworking people in the world, that manual labor of just showing up, multiple jobs, things like that. And yet it is still hard to get by. So that just proves that it's like doing all the hard stuff doesn't necessarily produce the results that we think. There has to be an easier way, but it's almost like it's too good to be true.
It is. I mean, we have it's so blatant already if we look around, like lorry drivers, like manual labor, all of that, like they work really hard and they work really long hours. If that was the solution to financial success or life happiness, then we go, great, that's a reason that we should all be working harder. But then, I've spent time when I was working in finance with billionaires who are chill out and who they're going to go to a meeting, then they're going to go to a board meeting, and then they're going to make a ton of money over here, and then they're going to go and have dinner. Like they're not working these insane hours or stressing out about it. It's so different. It's like they've hacked a different type of system and they know a different type of truth. And I think part of it is like going back to, well, look at our schooling is setting us up to be workers and laborers. And, back in the kind of manufacturing era where it was, we were really like in these plants, like working hard labor hours every single day. It wasn't really set up for ease. It was, so there's this kind of preconditioning almost of like, you've got to work hard. And it takes time to recondition that. Like I definitely still have that come up for even myself of like, I'm not working hard enough, so I can't expect myself to be succeeding right now. And it's a weird belief that comes up and you're like, whoa, like, what is that and where is that coming from? And you know better, but it's because we're still in that world around us that operates on that narrative.
Yeah. I mean, it's so weird how it becomes so ingrained in us. Even as you're talking about, my husband, deals with a lot of business people that are like he's in the financial world where he's helping, people obtain finances for, their medical equipment and things like that. And I remember at one point he was talking to someone and he was having the hardest time getting in touch with this extremely wealthy man, to just sign the documents for the equipment that he wanted to get for his like multiple practices or whatever it was. Finally got a hold of him and he's like, hey man, yeah, I'm just like chilling, petting my cat. It's really busy around here. I got this new kitty. And like we have all of his financial records. Like you could see like this man has all this money and all this stuff. And his like mindset is just so, it's just, I got to chill. I got this new kitten and I'm just, really busy. And it's just like, they're on a different frequency. They like hacked this thing. And I don't know what that is. I think there is, like you said, a little bit that goes back to our schooling. I think there's a little bit that goes back to just, think about like, when all the wealth in the Western cultures kind of came into play was like during World War II, that manufacturing era and things like that. There was like a huge boom in wealth because it was the work that we were putting in and that hard work that had to happen. And that's, when the schooling started of like building these factory workers, the pension plans, all these things that are almost extinct right now, but we're still being taught to live in that world. And it's just like, that's not reality.
No, it's not. And there's obviously like generational stuff. There's, coming from, and not necessarily even just like wealthy families, but like a family with a wealthy mindset makes a big difference in your own trajectory. Like if you come from a family, I was even chatting with the woman yesterday who her parents didn't have a massive amount of wealth financially, but they were very savvy with their money. So they instilled a very financially abundant mindset in her from a kid. And so her whole relationship with money as she grew up, as she started her business, was dramatically different compared to someone who maybe they even had money. And I've met women whose, their parents could have been incredibly financially successful, but passed on nothing to them financially. No financial skills, no financial awareness, or they created the perception that there was scarcity. And so oftentimes as well, we have to kind of look back and go, well, what was the circumstances we were growing up with and what was our environment? And of course, that's going to play a massive impact in what we're experiencing now. It's not to say we can't take back control and change things. Of course we can. That's why podcasts like this exist. That's why we're having these conversations. But it's also just to be like, okay, that makes sense. My past makes sense. Cool. That's what it is. But, we can move forward differently too.
Well, we also definitely need to be very discerning when we're choosing our teachers or where we're getting our money information from. Because even like you said, people that might come from wealth can have, or that do have a lot, can have a skewed vision. Because like I have people that I know that have a lot of wealth, but they are some of the cheapest people I know. So then it's like, you want to learn from them. It's like, okay, do I need to have this, like, I can't spend money aspect about, we're pulling in all these different ideas from all these different places. And so it's kind of like, how do we want to mold our mind around money so that we can live the life we want to live, which I think is such an individual aspect. I don't think we can look at one person and model after them. So I think that we do need to step into our spiritual self a little bit and understand what feels good for us so that we can show up as we want in the world and create that abundance that we want and be okay about luxury and be okay about how we want it to come in, that we want it to come in with ease. And there's part of that conditioning that we need to do for ourselves, but also find the right people to teach us how to do that.
For sure. And the interesting thing is the people I've spent the most time with who have massive amount of financial wealth, they're actually very neutral around money. Like it doesn't dictate their thoughts. It's a very neutral feeling, almost the same as we would think about air. Like I'm not worried about if I'm going to have air to breathe tomorrow or if you're going to take too much air, which is going to reduce my air. It's just, it's there and I breathe it in and breathe it out. And they have this very similar mentality around money of just like, it's circulating, it's always there, it's always ever present, right? It's very a neutral feeling around money as well. So even when you're learning and you're setting financial goals for yourselves, as much as I'm definitely an advocate of setting your savings targets, your investment targets, when it comes to in your business, setting financial goals can be helpful as a benchmark, but it shouldn't be the priority for your actual financial success because money is the byproduct of doing certain things. And so back in my days of like working as a financial consultant and as an accountant, if someone had a specific financial goal, we'd always be red flagging that because it's like, well, that in itself isn't actually a goal, right? If you think about it, making 100 grand a month it's not a goal because the things around it are the goals. not the
Mm-hmm.
money. So it's almost like taking the emphasis off having just the money as the financial goal and be like, okay, well, what can my goal actually be? Maybe it's serving a certain number of people, or maybe it's winning a certain number of contracts. And so it's like taking the emphasis off this number, this financial target, and actually putting it on what the real goal is, which is what are the things I need to bring to the world? How can I serve people in my community, in my business more? And the money will be the byproduct of that. And I remember when I first came across that concept, it really kind of blew my mind, because I always had been setting financial goals. Like, this is the goal of how much I want to make. And when I stepped back and looked at that differently, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And it feels so much easier, because you're like, oh, I can focus on serving this number of women. And that's exciting. That's tied to my purpose and my mission. Making X amount isn't tied to my purpose mission, but it's going to be an amazing byproduct of me turning up and doing what I'm here to do in the world. And that one shift, I think, made quite a big difference for me as well.
So can we do that? Can we take that energetic charge off of money with the concept of abundance? Because you'll hear most manifesting teachers talk about create abundance in your life in other areas, and you'll attract more wealth and abundance to you. But the term abundance to me is just so encapsulated with the word, with money, with the charge of money, with wealth, even luxury. All of that stuff is so just focused around money itself and that energetic space. So how do we remove it to create that neutral space so that we can see abundance as something more than just the dollars in our bank account, or how much something costs, or even when it comes to something like luxury and pampering and treating ourselves and you know, the finer things in life? How do we take the dollar sign off of that?
I mean, there's a couple of parts to this question that I'd love to kind of dive into. The first thing, even just like around money and the neutrality of it, like, it's something I decided maybe not that long ago, maybe like 2.5 years ago, just made a very clear decision in my life that I was never going to let money dictate my emotions again. Even when I had a lot of money, when I didn't have a lot of money, like the high or the low, I just was like, I'm not allowing this thing called money to ever dictate my emotions. So, you know, back as I was investing and doing all these different things, whether there was green or red going on, I was like, I'm not letting this impact how I'm feeling. And it was such a massive decision. And if anyone is taking anything away from this entire episode, like, if they even just adopted that one decision, and it's just making the decision anytime, if they're looking at their credit card statement or looking at their bank statement or looking at whatever the number is, having made the predetermined decision of, I'm not letting it impact how I feel. Like, I'm just going to make that decision. And maybe at the start it doesn't work. Maybe the first time they're like, but it's terrifying me and I still feel like shit and whatever. Okay. But it's like practicing and making the decision. I'm not letting this dictate how I feel. And that has been the biggest impact for me, impactful decision to create neutrality around money. So if it's up, it's down, whatever it looks like, I'm still the same. I still think the same about money. It's just flowing. It's fine. It's always going to be fine anyway. I just have taken the charge, the positive or the negative, out of it. And I made that decision a while back, and it just changed things so much for me. At the least, emotionally, mental headspace of like, I'm never going to have to stress about it again. You know, whatever happens, it's never going to be something that I'm going to allow dictate my emotions. And it's been one of the best decisions I made. And then, of course, naturally, things get better because you don't have the emotional charge to it. It's just neutral. And so things flow better anyway. But in terms of like luxury and abundance, like, I think you and I are the same, like, born for the luxury, like, I'm here for all of it. Like, last year I treated myself to so many like beautiful experiences with my like girlfriends, and just one of these very luxurious experiences. And I'm all about the luxury lifestyle as well. I mean, can we take the monetary charge out of luxury? It depends. It depends what luxury means for you. Like, going on a very luxurious retreat to Greece last year with one of my besties, like, yeah, of course, that was amazing. And of course, there's a monetary exchange for that experience. But can you also be intentional in your day of bringing in luxurious moments? Of course. Like, even small things like how you put on body lotion. Are you like taking a moment to slow down, touching with yourself, like really enjoy this experience of creating a luxury moment for yourself? Or how you make your food, how you present it on your plate, and like having these little moments in your day for you. We can bring luxury down to that level even as well. But given the lifestyle I like to live and the work that I do, like luxury and money are always going to go hand in hand. So, yeah, but we can bring it in little ways as well throughout the day. But it's also why talking about money and how you manage it and how you save it for the things that you want is such a big part of the work I do. Because as much as I want to live my most luxurious life, I want that for the women in my world as well. And I suppose on that, it also matters to decide what it means for you. Because my version of luxury, of my wealthy witch life, is going to be different to my witch next to me. And that's perfect. That's how it's meant to be. I don't prioritize going to fancy restaurants anymore. It doesn't give me a kick. I don't prioritize buying designer stuff anymore. I don't get anything from it. I did in my 20s and I don't anymore. It's not what my wealthy witch life looks like. And when I really sat down and was like, what does my wealthy witch life look like? What does that luxurious life, that life of financial freedom look like? I began to realize all the things that it didn't involve, like the luxury brands, so-called luxury brands, designer brands, all that kind of stuff, fancy restaurants. I was like, yeah, they're nice, whatever, but they're not anywhere on my top priorities. Different things matter to me more. So I get to define what luxury is. And I'd invite everyone to go through that practice of just asking, what does my wealthy witch or what does my luxury life look like for me? And at least then you're moving towards what's meant for you, not what's meant for someone else or what Instagram is telling you success is, or that you've made it because you've bought your Chanel bag. Like, that's your jam. Awesome. But if it's not, that's great too. Just know what's your soul desire, what you truly want, and what's just ego remnants left over from social media flaking its stuff on you. Yeah.
But that's such a cool thing that I think trick we can do to help bring us into that abundance and luxury mindset is, sticking with the witch concept, is creating rituals around everything we do. So it's like creating that luxurious meal. Maybe going to fancy restaurants is your thing, but you're starting from scratch and you don't have the means to do that. Create that fancy restaurant in your home. Set up your plate like that. We can start to bring that space into all of our different areas. Like you, I wanted the designer things in my 20s, and now I'm like, does it really matter? It's going to go out of style. Yes. Do I have a Louis Vuitton duffel bag? It is great. And it'll last me for years, and I will pass it down to my daughter. It is like, because of the quality. There's some things that luxury does buy with quality. But then I also heard, it was a colleague of mine saying, she was in a meeting with like all these she was in fashion, and with all these extremely high-end designers and things like that, and people, and they're just like, we don't buy this stuff. This stuff is produced for people to look rich, but the rich are wearing the Target t-shirt, the black t-shirt from the drugstore. They don't care. It's like, we do need to assess where that luxury lives in our life and spend accordingly to that, because that makes you happy and it fulfills you, but don't do it for the gram, like you said. Don't do it for the ego.
Yeah, which, in my 20s, I did 100%.
I did too.
And I would go back and do it again to give myself that experience. Coming from a, small place in Ireland, we didn't have designer stores. So when I got to London and I got to walk into like Louis Vuitton, and I was like, oh my God, are they going to kick me out of here? Like, I've never been into this store. Like, it was a moment, and I'm grateful that I gave myself all those fun experiences. But as I'm getting older, I'm like, I'm not even older, just changing, I guess, becoming more true to who I really am, and my own true desires, not like external perception desires. It doesn't really matter for me. It's not my priority. And that's okay. So I think what you said is like value-based spending. Like, what do you value the most? Like, what actually matters in your life? And you see, like, on Instagram, there's all this thing around like, buy the damn latte, that's not going to make you a millionaire. And it's like, well, actually, when I calculated that myself, Let me just say, I was calculating how much I was spending at the local Dales Fairs, a lovely organic cafe, on like oat milk matcha latte and a little treat a couple of times a week.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, if I actually add up that over the year and I put that out for the next 30 years, yeah, that's actually about $500,000. Now, do I really value that much? I know it's insane. No, I don't. So maybe you want to invest that, or maybe you just want to redirect your funds to what actually matters in your life. And being honest to your soul desire. Your soul desire might love the Louis, and that's awesome. Go for it. But just check in with yourself, at least making sure that you're spending and you're sending your money, because that's energy. You're sending that money, sending that energy in alignment with what truly matters to you, because ultimately it's your life, and no one's really cares about what you have on you anyway. We're all very egotistical in the sense that we all just are caring about what we're doing, right? We have so much going on in our life. We are very focused on ourselves for the majority of the time. So no one's watching you. No one cares what you have on, truly. We all figure that out as we get older. So as long as you're doing it for you and that's bringing you happiness, and you're still, creating those wonderful cauldrons to make sure you have those financial breaks in place and safety boundaries in place, great, go do you. Live your life how you truly want it to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And all I can think of right now is that pair of Jimmy Choos that are sitting in my closet that I got in my 20s when I was on Aspen on this trip that I'm still paying for. Like, I swear I'm probably still paying for it energetically today. How I would do anything now. I never wear them. Like my daughter walks into my closet and she's like, oh, look at all these. She calls them heel tops. They're high heels. She calls them heel tops for whatever reason. Look at all these heel tops. Can I wear them? Like, I only wear my running shoes now because I'm chasing around kids. I'm working at home. It's like, they're so insignificant. Granted, in my 20s, I felt really good about them. So I can't be mad at myself about that. No. Yet what I would do now just to sell them so that I can experience going on another luxury trip or going to Europe. Like, I'm craving a trip to Europe so bad. I want to take my kids. I know they're young. I think it would be such a great experience. We do change our priorities. And I think we can allow ourselves to change our priorities where we find abundance in our life, where we find luxury in our life, and not shit on ourselves for what we thought was filled us up in our 20s to now what fills me up in my 40s. But we should also take that into account before we're spending that money. What is this going to do for me in my future? That experience, that trip, that luxury retreat is going to be so much more beneficial to me and my soul than that pair of shoes sitting in my closet that I haven't worn in 10 years.
I mean, that's when I first went to New York and I went to the Manila Blahniks store and I had my little Sarah Jessica Parker moment. I was just like, yes. Oh my God, this is amazing. So yeah, you can't shit on your past self for doing those things, because you know what? She led us to where we are today, and that's a beautiful journey. But yeah, it's just, especially in today's version of social media success, I think it's always just an important reminder for all of us, me included, to just check in. Are you living and spending your money in alignment to your values? And if you are, cool. Then there's no FOMO, there's no jealousy, there's no, oh, I wish I was. No, it's cool because you're prioritizing what actually matters for you, where you want to go in life. And then we're all good, right? We don't have to feel disconnected or kind of disfragmented. It's no, I feel whole and aligned with what I'm doing because I have intentionally decided to do it this way. Mm-hmm. And then it's good. It's free flowing.
I love that. Intentionally decide where your wealth is coming from, where your abundance is coming from, where your luxury is coming from, where your money is coming from, and how you are spending it. So with that in mind, how do we go with you? I know you have a luxury retreat coming up for all your wealthy witches. How do we join? How do we go on this? I know it's going to be amazing and luxurious and beautiful. So how do we get involved?
Oh my God, we have the most incredible, luxury 5-star retreat created for these amazing women that are going to join us. It's in April. We're doing it in this incredible resort called the House of Aya. It is luxury from the moment you arrive. All you got to do is turn up at the airport and we've got everything else covered. We can share the link, but it's MexicoWomen'sRetreat.com is where all the details are. Obviously, if we're connected on social media, you'll see it on my page, or you can send us a message if you have any queries. But I mean, that is the embodiment of health, wealth, radiance, riches, luxury, abundance, sisterhood, connection, soul transformation. I'm super excited for the women that are going to join us on this, because it's definitely going to be a very transformational few days.
So much fun. And how do we get your book so that we can read it on the beach in Mexico with you?
I love you so much. So this is the book, The Witch of Wall Street, and it's available on Amazon now. So you can go and check that out there.
So much fun. Laura, thank you so much for joining me. I know you also have some master classes coming out and a lot of things. So check out Laura's website to get in touch, learn everything wealth, witch, and woo. And I just love our time together. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Courtney. You make my cheeks twitch. You make me smile so much. Thank you for having me on the show again.
Of course, we will do this again. I can't wait to talk soon.
Thanks, Courtney.
And that's it for today's Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Laura Tynan, for another fun conversation all about wealth, woo, abundance, and luxury this time. We really dove into that topic. If you want to get in touch with Laura, get her book, go on her retreat, or just reach out, I'll put all the information in the show notes below. And as always, you can find Intentional Living with Courtney Meyers and Intentional Media on our website at CourtneyMyers.com. That's where you find our books, our courses, and everything else we have going on. And don't forget to like, share, and comment on this episode if you like it. Can't wait to hear what you have to say, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.